Yo, what it do, guys? It is your boy, Leon Mookie, and today is a special day. I've been wanting to do a fanfic story like this for a long time now, to be honest. And today, I wanted to upload it on a very special day, my birthday. This is the hero's last master. Basically, a My Hero Academia / Fate Grand Order fanfic story. Yep, you heard me right. This is a fanfic crossover between My Hero Academia and Fate Grand Order. Honestly, I've been wanting to do a fanfic story like this for a while now. And my what if Izuku could summon heroic spirits, I made him limited and weakened because it's only natural. I don't want... Izuku's overpowered, but not too overpowered to the point that he can basically summon an army of servants. So... in this one, I can basically let my imagination roam and just have some fun with it. As for the OC, no, it's not Izuku. As you could tell from the thumbnail, it's me, actually. I'm the main character. But it's not truly a fully self-insert, to be honest. You'll see what I mean when we get into this. So, with all that said, let's get into this, shall we, guys? Chapter 0. Prologue, the return. In the world we live in, the world constantly changes, no matter what. Evolution of the human race always constantly evolves, such as every human being on the planet gaining that of unique power, where it all started in China with that of a glowing baby. With that, it all began since then, where children began to gain their own meta-human abilities. These abilities would be known as Quirks. However, little did people know, in that behind the scenes of humanity, behind the world, there was a power that was similar to Quirks, equal to Quirks, and even surpasses Quirks. Depends on how you utilize them. This was known as magic craft. A form of human form of magic that allows humans to use the power of the original magic, wielded by the gods themselves. But normal humans don't know this, because the only people that are able to use magic craft are known as mages. The mages have been behind society, controlling it, manipulating it, and even hiding the fact that magic even exists. However, due to the emergence of Quirks, some mage families believe that this would be the perfect opportunity to do what they've always wanted to do, to either take over the world or destroy the world. Or better yet, the one thing that many mages always inspired since the dawn of time, since its creation actually, that being able to access the throne of heroes and summon their own heroic spirit, creating that of a holy grail war. Many mage families wanted to continue on what that of the Tosakas, Anirisviels, and Mato families wanted to did since then. However, with the emergence of Quirks, heroes, and villains, even that of vigilantes as well, constantly interfering in such events, that it became harder and harder to create. So the Holy Grail Wars were basically erased from history. The Mage Association, alongside that of the Clock Tower, the Church, and even that of many governments who are aware of the, existence of mages and magic craft as a whole, decided to outlaw anything that involves the Holy Grail Wars. This was 100 years ago. And now, heroes, villains, and vigilantes are the only things that remain, while those of mage families still remain in the shadows, still controlling things behind the scenes. However, some mages do end up using their magic craft, making it seem like it's actually a quirk instead, given that everybody believes that everybody has a quirk, making it easier for those without quirks to become heroes. However, some mage families believe that being a hero is basically beneath them, and manipulating villains is basically child's play. It's just how it's always been and how it's always seen. As this has always been the status quo. Heroes and villains, heroes beating the villains, villains doing whatever they want, while the mages basically stay on the sidelines, not getting involved or not being publicly involved at that. Until one 14-year-old boy returns to this world with that of a dark-skinned, and black-haired young man, as he has a mixture of African American features with that of Japanese features as well, as he's wearing that of a military-grade black uniform, as it's that of a somewhat reinforced black t-shirt with that of a somewhat bulletproof vest. However, it has other functions as well. Baggy combat pants, which has that of a belt with multiple gadgets onto it. And also that of combat boots, his black combat boots as well, as his amber orange eyes looks down onto a city known as the Masafu City Prefecture, a city district connected to Tokyo, as it's mostly near that of the sea and with that of a mountain range as well. The only reason why it's a district city connected to Tokyo is due to that of a bullet train. As this young man is currently on that of a hillside right next to that of the forest, with then thinking, it's been years, so many years since I've been here. 20 years. It feels like 20 years since I've been here. But things change. However, when dealing with the Lost Belts and that of the Grand Orders, my body aged further. So coming back to this world, it basically reverted my age back to what I normally would have been if I didn't leave. With then soon, right next to him being that of a tan-skinned young woman, as she having that of white silver-like hair, amber eyes, and wearing that of a Japanese samurai attire, as she's wearing that of silver armored sandals that make her look at least a little bit taller, as she wields that of a long odachi sword, with saying, "Master, do you feel overwhelmed with coming back to your hometown after all these years?" Within soon, the young man saying, "A little bit. It's quite filling me with a wide array of emotions right now. Most of it good, most of it bad, most of it worry. But we came back to this world because we had to, and because the others wanted me to come back as well. We didn't put all that hard work for me to come back here just for nothing. Just a little hesitant on seeing my family again, that's all." With then soon, the tan-skinned woman walks over to the young man before pressing his head into her, surprisingly ample bosom, especially given that there is a slit showing a bit of her skin, of her chest. With then soon, the young man couldn't help but blush, even for somebody of his skin tone, as she basically patting his head, saying, There, master. Everything will be fine." And I'm not just saying that. If the others were here, they would try to comfort you just as much as I would. So please, don't hold back any of your emotions, Master Yuta. With then, the young man known as Yuta could help but say, all right, you got me there." Getting out of her embrace before giving her a smile saying, "Thanks, Soji. I appreciate it." As the young woman known as Soji couldn't help but smile before then saying, "So, what's our plan?" "Our plan is to, you remember what the others said. Basically, my job is to get both the heroes and the police attention. And what better way to do that? With then soon, Hearing that of an explosion in that of the city, as it's a pretty loud explosion at that, saying exactly that, right on time and right on cue. Come on, Soji. With after saying that, he soon jumps down from the ledge, with then saying, "Understood, master." With soon, the woman does the exact same thing. A little while earlier in the day, a young man by the name of Izuku Midoriya, a green-haired boy with that of diamond-shaped freckles, a bit of a cute but also bland baby face, and is quite short for that of a junior high student, basically walks through that of the streets with that of a sullen and somewhat saddened look on his face, mainly because of another rough day at his school, being Aldera Junior High. The reason being, him being bullied and looked down upon, mostly because of one thing, and one thing only, him being quirkless. Because of this, because of his quirklessness, he was constantly always looked down upon, always looked at basically with scorn and disgust. His former childhood friends that he grew up with basically abandoned him. His teachers throughout both his preschool and elementary school year, even currently all the way through that of his junior high career, also basically didn't do anything for him, didn't even help him. Besides a few teachers that actually did worry about him, they didn't really do anything much outside of wondering if he needs somebody to talk to. Other than that, it's constantly been like this. And the worst thing is, one of two of his childhood friends, named Katsuki Bakugo, was the worst one. Constantly bullying him, beating him, using him as that of a punching bag for his explosion quirk all the damn time. Looking down at him constantly for trying to become a hero even without a quirk, belittling him no matter what, especially today, by blowing up his notebook, throwing it out the window, threatening him if he ever decided to go to UA for the entrance exam, and even suicide baiting him as well by telling him to do a swan dive off the top of the roof of the school. With that, it basically destroyed Izuku, made him realize that the friend that he used to admire, that he used to see as that of a great hero in the future, truly is dead. If only he didn't leave. If only he didn't disappear. His other childhood friend, the one friend that stood by him all the way until his disappearance. When they were 6 years old, he vanished, never to be seen by anyone, believing that he was kidnapped by a villain or was taken by that of villains who smuggled kids for their quirks. Since then, he's never seen him again. With that, Izuku, feeling absolutely alone, if it wasn't for his mother, even if she also didn't believe that he could become a hero as well, she was the one person left in his life that genuinely cared about him, that genuinely worried about him, unlike others. Until that one moment when he was attacked as he going through that of a underpass, heading back home from school. He soon was attacked by that of a sludge villain. This villain was basically was running away from some heroes and was planning on taking Izuku's body so he can basically hide in incognito. With that, as Izuku basically couldn't breathe and feeling like he was he was suffocating without any air. Soon, he was saved. Saved by a certain someone that he didn't expect to see. That being the number one hero, his idol, the one that truly inspired him to be a hero to begin with. A blonde, muscular, buff man with that of piercing blue irises. With that, however, the whites in his eyes are completely and utterly black, though, as this being the number one hero of Japan and the most iconic hero of the world. his civilian name that nobody but a select people know, named Toshinori Yagi, but his hero name that everybody truly knows and fears and respects is All Might. With that, the number one hero saves the Greenette, even gave him an autograph as well in that of his notebook. However, Izuku wanted to ask him a question, even hanging on to him while he was basically floating up into the air after a giant ass leap. But then the two be on a rooftop as All Might was about to leave again, within him saying, I'm quirkless. Within Izuku going into that of the spiel about him, as everybody kept on telling him to give up on his dream of becoming a hero over and over again, even though all he wants to do is help and save people just like him, as he asked him the question, if for somebody like him without a quirk, is it possible for him to be a hero? As he asked this question, he soon sees All Might in his, deflated form, as that of Small Might, as Izuku was completely and totally caught off guard about All Might's true form, with even believing that All Might was basically a fake. But then soon, All Might explained the fact that he is the real one, even began explaining that his buff form is basically, in that of simpler terms, like how guys at a pool or at the beach basically puff up their chest to make them seem like they're buff after all, to basically simplify the fact about one for all. With then Izuku wondering on how he was even put in this form, within soon seeing the injury that he got about that of 5 years ago, caused by a certain villain that we all know of all too well, except to Izuku, believing that the person that gave All Might his injury being the villain known as Toxic Chainsaw, with All Might quite impressed, saying, you know your stuff, kid. But no, it wasn't anybody like that. All it took me was that of good 5 hits, even though he was pretty tough, I won't lie. But the villain that took me down, that gave me this, is on a whole other level. With then Izuku completely caught off guard and shocked, especially that the fact that All Might also said that the fight between the villain that gave him that scar was completely and utterly off the books, off the records, no matter what. And All Might began explaining that heroes basically have to give up their lives if it means protecting people, no matter what, that they face danger in every shape and form. And with somebody without a quirk, it's impossible. Within All Might saying, so no, I'm sorry, but I believe it's impossible for somebody like you without a quirk to become a hero. Hearing those words from his idol, Izuku completely and utterly shocked, mouth wide open, gaping, and eyes sunken in, balling up his hands into that of a fist, and that of rage and anger. With then soon, All Might tries to give him some hope, tries to tell him to be that of a, police officer. Some people don't give them the credit that they deserve because they show up after the fight are done. They still do that of a good job helping others. Or even be that of a doctor, possibly even a firefighter as well. Even with all those options, Izuku's aware. Izuku is already known the truth, that it's impossible for somebody like him to become a hero, to become either of those. In this society, people rely so much on quirks to the point that normality jobs like that, people would take those with quirks suited for those occupations. So now knowing that even being a hero without a quirk is impossible, he knows that those other jobs are just impossible as well, making him frustrated and angry even more. With then, soon, All Might basically leaving, heading down from the stairs, leaving Izuku on those roofs before hearing the words that Bakugo said to him a little earlier that day after class, that nobody's around, there's nobody to see him, so why not take that little swan dive off a roof? With then soon, as Izuku was about to do that very thing, he soon snapped out of it before remembering the words saying, just because you don't have a quirk doesn't mean you can't be a hero. You just gotta work hard at it. With then, soon, Izuku remembering those words a long time ago of a certain dark-skinned young boy. With then, tears began to run down saying, Yusa, why were you the only one that believed in me? As Izuku continued to wipe the tears from his eyes, while continuing to cry, feeling that his dream was basically taken away from him, alongside the only friend that actually genuinely cared about him as well, believing that the world does nothing but take and take and take from him. What's next? His mother? With then soon, Izuku getting out of his spiraling thoughts before leaving that of the rooftop by taking the stairs instead of the, well, more dangerous way. Within, this was the very moment that changed everything. As Izuku trying to walk back home, as he's now basically in that of the downtown Masafu after all, this is where he sees that of a huge crowd, as then begins seeing that of tons of smoke, as it being that of a fiery alleyway. With then soon Izuku wondering what's going on, as he's trying to hear that of the crowd and even get closer and closer and seeing what's happening. With then seeing that it's the same sludge villain that tried to take his body, having that of a hostage. However, seeing that the heroes are here, wondering why they haven't done anything, before realizing that it's because of the hostage. But then one of the civilians saying, but what about All Might? Didn't All Might rush after to take this guy down? Where is he? With then Izuku coming to the realization that All Might won't be able to step in because he ran down his time. Not only that, he's the reason behind the sledge villain getting away from All Might as a whole as well. If it wasn't for him, none of this would have been happening. Nobody would be taking him. Before realizing that, Izuku noticed the hostage, as the hostage being a certain spiky, ashen blonde, red-eyed young boy that he knows all too well, being Katsuki Bakugo, the same former childhood friend, the same current tormentor and bully, and the same person that basically suicide baited him as well. As part of Izuku believes that this is karma about everything that he's done to him, basically beating him, tormenting him, taunting him, everything. But also part of him realized that this isn't what he wants, that this isn't what he wants Katsuki to go through. The same as he knows the pain of basically trying to have their body taken away. Before then, noticing that Bakugo's eyes, the eyes of somebody pleading for help. Within seeing that, Izuku, without realizing it, he begins to run into the fray, as many of the heroes basically tell him to stop and come back. As Izuku does this, soon, Izuku, using his backpack, throws it at the sludge villain, as the sludge villain notices this and tries to attack Izuku. However, the backpack hits his eyes, which gives Bakugo enough time to catch his breath, as Izuku tries to grab Bakugo out of the sludge villain, within Bakugo screaming, Deku, the hell are you trying to do? What the hell are you even doing here to begin with? Izuku saying, I'm sorry, Kachan, I really am. But I couldn't just sit by. Your eyes say it all. Your eyes said that you needed help. As Izuku gives that of a teary and somewhat shaken smile, within catching Bakugo off guard, as then the sludge villain basically was about to attack Izuku and consume, Bakugo once again, as All Might busts up and saying, I can't just stand here and do nothing, even with my time limit. This young man that with no quirk and no power ran in to save somebody without even even though he didn't have it, he truly is. He truly does know what it means to be a hero. As All Might was about to rush in to save Izuku and Bakugo. However, the attack that was coming after Izuku, the tendril from the sledge villain, was soon cut off. Within, the sledge basically just turning into goop on the ground, as Izuku was completely caught off guard and shocked. Within, soon, even Bakugo was caught off guard. Before then, a certain familiar young man basically grabs the both, within using that of his mystic code basically infused into his uniform as it being that of reinforcement magic craft, grabbing both of them at the exact same time, pulling Bakugo out of the sledge villain while pushing Izuku backwards, knocking them both onto the ground. But then soon, both of them were completely shocked, wondering who did this. Before then, soon, Soji stands right next to the young man as well, saying, I was completely caught off guard seeing the both of you here. It's been a long time. Katsuki, Izuku, hearing their names, both of them were completely shocked, wondering who this stranger is, who knows them. However, for Izuku, he knows this person, even though they're older, a lot more buffer and bigger, even seeing that of a few scars onto the young man as well. He can't help but say a name that he hasn't said in a long, long time, saying, Yusa? Hearing that name too, Bakugo couldn't help but be caught off guard, saying another name as well, saying, Hono? What the hell? Then soon, the sledge villain saying, You bastard! You're gonna pay for that, you little wench! Both of you! As extending his sledge-like tendrils once again. Within, Yusa saying, Okita Soji, saying, Understood, master. As she was about to slash basically the entirety of the sledge villain. Before then, soon, a familiar, muscular, older man steps in once more, saying, How pathetic am I to basically see such great heroism from all of you, and me just sitting on the sidelines, doing nothing. How can I call myself a hero if I don't stand up, show a great example? Then soon, the crowd began to get excited alongside those of the pro heroes on the side as well. Even Izuku and Bakugo couldn't help but be shocked and surprised seeing All Might, especially Izuku seeing All Might again. As for Yusa, he couldn't help but see All Might, as internally, he thinking, the number one hero, right beside me. But then, a rational version of himself saying, it's weird. You would think All Might would possibly have already a version of him in the Throne of Heroes. And yet, he doesn't. I wonder, the Throne of Heroes have already recorded all of his deeds. And yet, does he need to die first for those records to fully become a realization? To realize the peak of his prime before he become the hero that he's always destined to be? The hero that was meant to take place in that dimension? The Akashic records do like to be thorough when it comes to the throne, after all. While Yusa is still in his own thoughts, thinking about that of the Throne of Heroes and the man that he used to see as his greatest idol, All Might soon sends that of a Detroit smash, as he was about to grab onto Izuku and Bakugo and Yusa, alongside that of Soji as well. However, Soji already grabs onto the both of them, with her grabbing onto Yusa, and then grabbing onto Izuku, and then using her Odachi to grab Bakugo by the collar of his school uniform, as the air pressure from All Might's Detroit smash basically completely defeats the sledge villain, while then creating that of a rainstorm. With then all of the civilians and the heroes couldn't help but be utterly shocked, surprised, and downright grateful for the number one hero's actions. With then, as the rain finally goes away, with a little bit of time now going by, with then soon, as All Might basically getting interviewed by that of the, well, media, within soon both Izuku and Bakugo were being lectured and praised, mainly Bakugo being praised by a few pros, while Izuku being lectured by that of Death Arms and Kamui Woods. But secretly, that Kamui Woods is actually grateful for Izuku's actions, proving that a kid like him, even if he basically throw himself in danger, has a great potential of being a hero, unaware that Izuku is quirkless after all. While finishing scolding Izuku, Death Arms soon goes over to Yusa and Soji, with then soon Death Arms saying, "And you two, what the heck were you thinking? You both, just like him and the kid, you both could have." With then soon, without warning, Soji basically points her Odachi towards that of Death Arms' throat, with everybody completely caught off guard and shocked, with then saying, Do you plan on lecturing my master for doing a deed that you all should have taken care of? And I can tell by the situation you believe that your quirks or your abilities weren't capable enough to stop the villain, even though there were multiple of you that could have taken him out, and yet you didn't because you were too afraid. Such indecisiveness would have been the death of the boy if that boy and me and my master did not intervene alongside that of All Might. And who knows on what All Might would have shown up if he didn't at all. With then soon, everybody completely caught off guard by the code and analytical words of Soji. With then soon, Yusa saying, "Soji, enough. It's not worth it. They're not gonna listen either way." Within, she's saying, "But master, Soji, please." With then soon, sheathing her Odachi, saying, "As you wish." As for Death Arms, normally he doesn't feel this kind of fear or anything like that. Even with that of a sword at his throat, he would still feel like he could still stand up to the girl. However, when looking at Soji, he felt an overwhelming intimidation of pure, utter bloodlust coming off of the woman. Within, the police, alongside the heroes, saw this as they were about to arrest Soji. Before then, Kamui Wood stepped in saying, "Please, tell me, what is both of your names?" With then soon, Yusa coming up first before Soji could say her name, speaking up his name, saying, "My name is Yutaro Carson. I'm 14 years old, and I'm just your everyday civilian who didn't want to see a good person die for nothing. That's all." With then soon saying that, both Izuku and Bakugo were completely caught off guard, realizing that it truly is their long-lost childhood friend. And little did the both of them know that their childhood friend is more of a hero than any hero in this day and age. And that's it. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you guys think. I would love to see more, especially since this is just the prologue chapter. Don't worry, the original first chapter will come out by possibly next week or the week after. I want to make sure that it's properly perfect after all. During the first chapter, I'll be basically going into details about his adventures with the Grand Orders, the Remnants, and the Lost Belts. So be prepared for that. At any rate, hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Hit that bell notification to keep up to date with my videos when I upload on the channel. Also, please check out my Discord, my gaming channel, my main channel, Patreon, and Cash App. Hope them all being in the link in the description below. So, with all that said, this is Yamuki signing out. Later, guys, and happy birthday to me. Later.